Hey everyone, welcome back to the Trendcrusher podcast. I'm Peter K. As I mentioned at the end of the last episode, this and the next episode will sound slightly different because they're recorded in person. A couple of weeks ago, guitarist Sutej Singh was in town to perform at the Harman stage as part of the Palm Expo. It was the first time that he was playing tracks from his new album, Restless I Relentless. We spoke about the album, his plans for the rest of this year, and how he's been dealing with a lot of the attention that he's been getting lately. Here's my chat with Sutej. Wow. Thanks, by the way, Sutej, for just reminding me that we've only spoken once, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
We keep bumping into each other at all these gigs. And I don't know, the last 5 odd years, how many times I've seen you perform live at various different stages. And it's been quite a journey. Would you agree? What did you think?
It's been quite an interesting journey, quite challenging, but equally enjoyable.
The other. Yeah.
So, equally enjoyable as well. I remember seeing you guys first time in, what did you call it? Black Blood.
Black Blood, yeah.
There was a small metal festival happening in Habitat. Am I right?
Correct.
And somehow we were a part of it. I don't know how, but yeah, we were just a part of it, and we were playing major scales in a metal festival. It was something odd, but kind of worked out, and happened to meet you guys, and that was good.
By the way, for this episode, I've dubbed you the gentle giant of the Indian indie scene. Is that a title you accept or what?
It's a title for you to give me. I'm happy to accept.
One of the first things, right? And of course, just context. Finally, Sutej and I are recording this in person at his hotel room. So thanks so much for taking time out to do this. But one of the first things that struck me is when you're on stage, there's like this different aura. There's this different kind of thing, presence. And it goes down to the detailing, right? It's from what you wear, because I've actually seen how you've got that, whether it's the stage presence, all of that. But whenever we've met off stage, you've always been so warm. And it's like, wait, this is the same guy I saw on stage, right? Is that something that you think about, consider? Like just the entire stage presence and stuff like that? Is that something that you've ever...
Whenever I'm in my costume, I call it the costume. It's actually a costume only. So I wear all black, a long coat, a turban. I feel like I'm in a character then. I feel like not cracking jokes then. I feel like being serious and just focus on my guitar playing and just create a good show for the audience. Especially as a Sikh, playing this genre is already, so different. People from my community, they're more into Punjabi music. Like, that's quite obvious. But somehow I chose to play guitar. Somehow I chose to pursue this career. And kind of worked out for me. Getting into this costume, getting into this dress, or whatever you want to call it, gives me a different vibe altogether. Like, whenever I'm on stage wearing that long coat, it feels like I have a purpose to fill. And yeah, I can't really explain that feeling, but yeah, that's it. Different aura, if you want to say that.
No, and I think that's true, right? Because I think while it wasn't very obvious the first time or the first few times, but every subsequent time I saw you perform live, I mean, most notably, I remember the 2023 Independence Rock, right? You played at a smaller stage, and it was very obvious that you didn't belong on that smaller stage. You belonged on the larger stage. I remember people showing up early, right? And again, for context, Independence Rock is a larger, longer day format. You have multiple stages, large act, big acts. But it was very interesting to see you perform there, and then consequently the following year performing on the larger stage with Swaratma. And when you're talking about this also, right? I mean, there's so much to kind of talk to you about, but I think let's structure it and start with Hey, why you're in Bombay first to begin with, right? So you're performing at the Harman Pro Arena tomorrow at the Palm Expo, which is again a large event that's happening here in Bombay. So what's that like? I mean, because you're coming off just the release of your album Restless Relentless. Let's start with the show and then we can get into the album because there's a lot to talk about that.
Really lucky and honored to get on stage at the Palm Expo. I always wanted to visit the venue and see what's going on in the expo, and being a part of it now as a performer like feels special, obviously. And I actually saw some videos yesterday of the stage. It looks amazing. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It looks amazing, and really excited to be there. And it's the first show after the album release, so special in that case. We're gonna play all the new songs. Really excited to do that. So for us, it's also a challenge. Like, how is this going to sound? How is this song going to sound? Coming back from the older days, I think as performers also we've evolved. We're looking for new challenges. We're continuously looking to do newer things on stage now. We're more comfortable with each other as players. Me, Parth, and Aditya, the other band members. Even while we're jamming, so we continuously like look for newer things, as in we could try this for the new song, we could try this for the new song. Earlier what it used to be was especially I would say that I just want to play my songs as it is, how they are supposed to be. Now I'm more open to challenging myself and kind of improvising on stage probably, and just trying something new every time. So it creates a show special every time you see that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I was alluding to earlier, right? Where each time I've seen you, there's something different, there's something you can add in. Looking forward to tomorrow's show, as you said, is because you're performing music from your latest album, Restless Relentless. Tell me about that. I mean, it's been a few weeks since the release, but what's the response been? How's it been like now that the album is out there and everyone's kind of listening to it on whichever platform they're there, or I don't know, Bandcamp if they've bought it?
It's been amazing so far. Everything's been organic from our end. There's been no like money spent on PR or marketing. But for me, it has worked organically every time, right from the beginning, from the days of the first release of my first album, The Emerging. Even this time, so what happened, I was continuously growing my fan base on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And then when I finally decided to release the album, when everything was in place, ready to be released, the fans showed up. And it really shows what kind of support, what kind of love they have for the music, and their acceptance of me as a guitar player, of me creating music. Like, it means a lot.
Okay, so let's dive a bit into the album, because I think the first taste of the album was, forgive me my pronunciation, but Kaadambari. So Kaadambari, and that was a very different track compared to those who know you from The Emerging, right? Was that a conscious choice? Because again, with singles you can put out so many different tracks, right? But why do you put out Kaadambari, and why that to kind of was that like a purpose choice that you wanted the audience to kind of see a different side of you? What was that like? And tell us about the collaboration, because that's a fantastic song.
Thanks. So it was a conscious decision. I think it was 2020 or 2021 when I actually first made the demo of that song. Wow. And it was an instrumental back then. It wasn't in my head that I wanted to have vocals in the song. So I had created this guitar part, And the initial thought of me of creating that song was to make something different, as a prog musician you don't have to be complex and complicated every time. Maybe you could start with simplicity. So if you notice the song, it starts with a simple drum and bass groove, and that's what I wanted to do with the song. I just wanted a groovy section or something to play on with. And I remember I met one of my friends in Bombay, and he just casually mentioned, "Why don't you try vocals in your song?" Obviously, I had that in my mind earlier, but I never took that seriously. After that conversation, I just happened to go back home and open my project for this demo. I just searched some Indian classical vocals on YouTube with the similar scale, with the similar vibe, and cut, copy, paste, or you do that production work in your demo, and it sounded somewhat like what the song is right now, but not exactly like that, with different lyrics and all that. So what happened? That song remained with me for 3-4 years. Last year, when I finally decided to release the song or the EP or the album, it was, first of all, it was just the song, then the idea of releasing an EP, and then the idea of releasing an album. Finally, so I have two managers right now. One of them you already know. The other one who's working from Bombay, Nikhil. Nikhil just somehow got me to work with Nandini Shrikar, who's doing vocals for the song. I listened to her voice, listened to the songs that she had created earlier, and it was the perfect voice that I was looking for, Kaadambari. So we got on a video call, we jammed on video calls, we figured out parts, what she's gonna sing, what not she's gonna sing, and yeah, it just happened. I came to Bombay for I think it was a show or something, and I stayed here for an extra day and recorded it was a good experience that way. So the song kind of worked out. It might be too much for the audience, as in, like you mentioned, that I haven't done this before, and obviously it was an experiment, but people are loving it. Whatever comments I've got so far, people have loved it. I haven't seen any negative comment on that song.
Yeah, and that's awesome, because I think it's a great time to now take a break and actually play the song. So for those who haven't already heard it, here's Kaadambari. And that was Kaadambari. And I'm here with Sutej Singh, and we're talking about his album Restless Relentless. If you haven't already heard it, do check it out. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes, as always. Now, since you kind of brought up the whole thing, right, when you had this song there, and I think I can remember at least a couple of conversations every time I met you post gig saying, hey, what's next? And you'd say, yeah, I'm working on the album and stuff like that, right? And I knew there was always something that you're working on. But at which point, and this is primarily just to kind of understand the mindset you're in, right? Where did it go from, hey, let's put out, because the temptation is there to put out singles. You don't have to put out an entire album. You talked about putting an EP out. Where did it decide that, you know what, screw it, we're going to put out an album and there? Because it's not easy putting out albums in today's day and age, right?
So I never had temptations to release singles. I always have the temptation to release albums, and I think it's going to stay for the longest time. I was somehow convinced to release Land of Gold as a single, and Kaadambari as a single was obviously the part of the album. But yeah, always rooting up for the album, bro. Like, singles don't work for me because I have a bigger story to tell with the album. And I think even in my genre or the kind of music that I make, albums make more sense. Maybe the kind of emotion I want to portray in the music. I tried it with Land of Gold because Land of Gold was completely a theme song. It was a theme song, so it was okay, like releasing that as a single. But I still would have loved if that was a part of the album as well. But yeah, albums are better for me.
No, and I think as probably the minority, I still listen to albums. I love kind of going in the entire sequence. Obviously, I check out singles and stuff like that. But I feel that sometimes with musicians, and especially like with prog you're talking about, right? There's a reason why. I think I always love talking to musicians, say, hey, why did you put this song here and not here, right? Because there's an entire sequencing, there's an entire process and a thought process behind that. But tell me, like, how hard is it in today's day and age, especially for someone like you, right? I mean, before we hit record, you were talking about you're still not one of those musicians who's got like crew or an entourage, right? You're still like kind of grinding it there. Again, putting out music when you're kind of really satisfied. Like, at which point did you really feel confident that, hey, the album is ready now? Right? Because again, since you're doing it yourself, and I'd love for you to talk about the production also, right? Is that at which point are you finally satisfied creatively that this is now the time for everyone to kind of hear it? And especially since we're in a digital age, right?
Yeah. It's kind of funny, as artists, we guys are never satisfied. Like, even if I listen to my album right now, I would find so many mistakes. I wish I could have done that better. But at one point, you just have to let it go and just let the music come out. Because all those things are in your head. Your fans or the listeners, they don't know what you're thinking. They just want to listen to your music. I kept waiting for the right time. After 2020, so 2018 was the first time I released the album, and 2018 and 2019 was all about playing shows, making a name for yourself. 2020, it was kind of Earth's holiday, as I say. So everyone was on a holiday then, me including. I was just doing covers, I was playing the guitar, I was playing video games, doing stuff like that, not thinking much about the album or something like that. But in my mind, I had that, well, this is just a holiday, but how long am I going to do this? So obviously, as the holiday extended, as that period, the multiple lockdowns were happening, I kind of realized that, oh shit, what next for us, for artists like us. Like, are we still gonna make it or not? Because at that stage, I was still a no one. Um, I didn't have enough shows to play, or hadn't played enough shows before that. Even didn't have enough music out. Just had one album and nothing else. So by the end of 2020, I just relentlessly just said to myself that no matter what happens, I just have to make music, and eventually I will record it sometime and then release it. That period got extended because of financial reasons, because album requires a lot of money. I kept thinking, oh, let me release the album. As I said, I always wanted to release the album, not the single. So when I released Land of Gold in 2023, I was just sitting back and thinking, oh, I wish it was an album. But that money constraint, all the things, because I hadn't played shows in 2020, 21, and 22, and 23. I only played Independence Rock at the end of 23. Before that, there was no money coming in from the shows and all. So I was kind of teaching online, doing stuff like that to actually help myself. So making an album requires a lot of budget, because for me, I want to have the best quality in that budget. I just don't want to sit in my home, record on Focusrite, and just release the album, because that's not going to make it. I know that. I don't want to program drums. I don't want to just record very weak signals of my guitar, mix myself, and then release the music, because I know that's not going to touch people's heart. That's just how music works. You record good signals, you have to invest something at least to get the best out of that budget. Go to the best recording studio possible in your budget, and then hire the best mixing engineer. Or if you are a good mixing engineer yourself, you could do that. I wasn't, so I just hired the best possible mixing engineer in my budget, and then the album came out. So all this thing I had to manage myself, all the logistics, all the time management, talking to session players, talking to different people involved in the album. That takes time and takes a lot of money. So yeah, that's why the album finally came out last month. That was April.
No, it's interesting that you say that, right? Because I think for a lot of listeners, they take for granted what you're talking about, right? And I think it's like there's also that, hey, you could do this at home. But I feel like with you at this point, also the expectation is higher, right? The expectation is that we want the best in there. And I'm talking like from a listener's perspective, right? You don't want, exactly like you said, you mixing it at home and stuff like that. And I think when I going back to what you talked about, the holiday, right? When I spoke to a lot of musicians in 2020 and 2021, that's exactly what happened, where people were like, okay, we can do these short term things of these streaming sessions and things like that, or we can record at home. So a lot of artists started getting their own setups and things like that. But there were certain musicians, and you could tell the difference, who were like, no, I can't sit and record at home, or I can't jam with my bandmates. I want to be in a studio, right? So there was a big, I think, gap, and you kind of saw that among musicians. But I feel like going back to the album itself, right? What would you say is different this time around, or what was your approach this time around compared? Because to me, I feel that with the emerging, there was a certain mark that was set, and you had to kind of go way above that, right? Because people have actually seen you live and perform there. We talked at the start about, you being a performer in that journey. How was it, like, production-wise, your approach this time? Like, how did you kind of look at it differently?
Production wise, I just wanted to make simpler music this time. Emerging was consciously prog because I was still in my early 20s, you know, that phase when you want to become someone, and someone you're so inspired by. I wanted to be John Petrucci. I wanted to make music like Dream Theater, music like Opeth, all those big names. Um, Midway through that journey, when I was recording the Emerging, I kind of realized like I don't want to sound like them, but the album was already done, and that shows. Whoever listens to Emerging, they say this sounds like Dream Theater, or this sounds like John Petrucci, and I agree. I don't deny that fact. I know. After that, when I release Land of Gold, you see such a drastic change. It does not sound like Dream Theater. Now, someone comes to me and say the Land of Gold sounds like Dream Theater. It does not. That thing I will deny because I had new influences then. After the Emerging, I wanted to sound more simpler. I wanted to sound more like me. I didn't want to sound John Petrucci. Um, So with those newer influences, guys like Andy Timmons, guys like Nick Johnston, who were making simpler music, as in they didn't have to make complex musical structures to portray their emotions. I think that really inspired me, and that's the next step for me as a musician as well. So, Land of Gold as a theme track, I just wanted to make something that I could sing all day. It does not have any complex structure, any complex guitar parts for me. Like whenever I'm on stage, I don't have to think too much. Oh my god, this part is gonna come and I'm gonna mess it up. It does not have anything like that. Even so, that evolution is still happening. I'm kind of making peace with more simplicity in my music, in my playing. As I said, the Emerging was sometimes consciously prog. I consciously made decisions like, oh, I want a time signature change here, just because I just wanted. I just wanted to sound prog. People still liked it. That's a different thing. But with Restless Relentless, I was just making simple music. Sometimes it does sound prog, but it was just my inner feeling. That's the kind of inspirations I'm having throughout.
Is it too early to say that you're feeling mature or maturing?
I am.
But- but-
I feel that.
But the second reaction to what you're talking about, and like this is for those who got into like Indian music scene in like the mid 2000s and stuff like that, online on the forums there used to be thing, feel ever music mein feel, and I feel that's where it also kind of comes in. But to kind of even look back, right, and when I'm kind of looking back, because again I've been avidly following you for some time now, right? I can't believe when you're talking about it, it's been like 6-7 years already. Yeah. It doesn't feel like that. But I noticed like over the last year, there was a complete new kind of following that you got online, and it was through reaction videos, right? Which was kind of strange because, again, I think it's also because of just the evolution of the internet, right? Because there was a time where, reviews mattered, and now you saw like all these reaction videos happen. I remember vaguely around the first one, but were you surprised by the attention that you got through that, and how did you kind of see that? Because I feel that you rode the wave later on, so I want to talk to you about that. But what was it like initially when you started getting all those reactions to your videos being put up?
So things actually happened way before the reaction videos. I was playing this festival in Delhi called the Oddball Festival. I think it was in Feb or March. I don't clearly remember that. But I just randomly put out a video, just a mobile clip and uploaded it on Instagram. That video got viral, and it was from the new song Mayflower that's in the album now. We guys just jammed it out. I had recently composed that song, and we decided to play that song on at the Oddball Festival. We played it. This song, the crowd enjoyed it. When I uploaded the video, it got viral, crazy viral. That was the first viral moment of my life, and that being the original song that you're making, it felt special. I got so many fans worldwide. It wasn't viral in India, but it was more viral outside. Like, I had messages coming from the Middle East, from the America, and obviously people in India were also messaging me, but it was a global hit, that video. The next video I put out, that was a viral. The next one, that got viral. So if you say the algorithm worked out for me, but I was happy because it was all original stuff. It wasn't covers that I was doing, or I wasn't following any stupid trend on Instagram. So that was really satisfying for me. Coming to the reaction video, so again, I just randomly posted a video online. I was playing at in that video I was playing at the Piano Man in Delhi, and that was the song. I was playing that song from the first album called Walk My Path. I was playing a very fast, licky, shreddy part on my guitar. That video got crazy viral too. That's the most viral video I have, and people started commenting like stereotypes on my video. It's always been funny. I take it very lightheartedly. I never take like comments too seriously, good ones or bad ones. Like, these are just online comments on your phone screen, they're not going to harm you. So anyway, that chain reaction started on Instagram. People started commenting these funny band names, linking my culture, my look, or how I would probably smell, anything you could imagine. It was borderline or above that, but it was racist. But as I said, like, these are just online comments. No one's coming up to me and facing me and saying that. If they are, that's a different thing. Online people do all such things, but anyway, for that video, reaction videos started. People started reacting to the comments, not on the video, not on the music, but to the comments. And I was kind of disappointed because the purpose was something else. It was not for the music. But the good thing was that people started following me because of the music, not for the comments. People actually commented back on that video saying that he's actually playing good. The music is actually great, or the playing is actually not that bad. You should follow him. All sorts of people. I remember someone messaging me on Instagram saying that my friend from the USA sent your video of this reaction video. I said, yeah, of course I've seen it. Like, everyone was sending me that video only of those 2-3 guys just laughing at the comments. And there have been like a couple of more videos like in the same pattern. But yeah, that video, anyone posts it, it goes viral, crazy viral, like 10 million views, 15 million views. On my video, it was like, I think one and a half. But it's something about that video. But social media following has been great. People have been following my work and they have been loving it, so I don't mind.
No, and thanks for sharing that, right? Because I was always very curious about just how you kind of take it, right? And I think like the internet is also such a place where either I feel the only thing that gets amplified sometimes is negative, or just like stuff like you're talking about, right? Like, as someone who's been actively commenting on music for like over 10, 12 years or even longer now, I just feel that like as someone who loves doing audio, I'm forced to do video because that'll get more reach, and sometimes it's stuff like this, right? Silly shit that gets more this. But one thing I noticed is you stayed consistent. Like you, when I say rode the wave, I noticed after that consistently put out something. Every live performance of yours went up, and I could see those numbers, right? And I felt that, hey, he knows what he's doing. Like this is something which he's taking consciously, and hey, why not, right? I mean, I have to throw back to this because this was really funny when we first interviewed you. But like, I don't think you also thought like what 6-7 years ago Katrina Kaif would be linking your album on Apple Music of all places, huh? So hey, it's stuff like this that happens, right? It's unscripted, and you just gotta roll with it, I guess, right? But okay, cool. Since we've talked about this, now let's switch things up a little, right? You talked about your evolution as a musician, you maturing far more, right? And you talked also about like some of your influences. If I have to ask you, and feel free to use your phone for this, what's music that you are currently listening to, if you'd like to share?
I listen to very less music, to be very honest. Hardly listening to any music these days. But whenever I am, driving back home, the only time I'm listening to music is that moment when I'm just driving back home from the gym or from other stuff. So it's usually songs that I already like, Newer songs, sometimes Spotify or Apple Music gives great recommendations and I just save them right away. But one album that I'm going to talk about that I love, that I fully respect and has great inspiration on me as a musician, as a guitar player, is Emotion and Commotion of Jeff Beck. So that album I think that was a turning point where I just switched my guitar playing. As I said earlier, I embraced simplicity in my music and the kind of stuff that I'm making. Yeah, like listening to a lot of Jeff Beck, the earlier stuff, listening to some probably already famous songs, some 80s, 70s pop or rock. Last night, me and the boys were listening to Purple Rain. Yeah. Music that I'm already comfortable with, probably. But that's a conscious decision as well because I don't want to get inspired anymore. Especially with the newer stuff. I just want to be as creative as possible in my own way. Because anytime you listen to music, that's going to stay in your head. Whatever you're gonna listen to. No matter what kind of music is that going to be, but it stays in your head. And somehow, somewhere it will inspire you, or maybe that comes through your fingers. You never know. So yeah, in that way it's conscious as well.
Okay, fair enough. And okay, I'll tell you a story where I want your reaction to it, especially since you said you listen to a lot of like popular stuff, 70s, 80s, and things. So Lynyrd Skynyrd recently put out a new video for their already very famous track Freebird, and one of my colleagues at work, an editor, listens to rock music. So I was like, hey man, did you see the video for that? Because I mean, spoiler for those who haven't seen the video, it's a very emotional video. If you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend you check it out. And he's listening to it on his computer at work, and his first comment was, man, you know what, this song still sounds so good. And he's like, it's 9 minutes long, the video, but people will still watch it. And I think that's a comment on currently music being made, but also why a lot of this music is still popular.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I haven't seen the video, but I will see the video now because I love the song and I would still listen to it from start to end. I'm not going to skip 1 second of it. But yeah, like songs that you already love, you love them for a reason, right? I think one problem with modern music is that they just somehow lack emotion. Not all kind of music that's coming out, but most of the music that's coming out that goes in the top 10 Spotify top charts, they just lack emotion, and they're just somehow in that top 10 due to some trend or something like that, and people just go to that playlist and people are following the trend. They don't explore music in these days. Now they don't want to explore music probably, but it's easier to access probably, and they're just listening to trendy music and they don't know what they actually like. They're just following the trend.
Okay, I mean, trust me, we can do this all night long. We can have a longer chat, but just to kind of wrap up, I mean, for those tuned in so far and listened to our conversation, so you said this is the start, first gig you're playing post the release of your album Restless I Relentless. Any plans that you can share so far for the coming months? I know it's monsoon, but hey, gigs still happen here in Bombay.
We're still focusing on the release. For us, we still have to promote it as much as possible, even after the release. So probably going back home after this and recording some music videos, some playthrough videos, some live videos, stuff like that for the next couple of months. After the monsoons probably, then we'll start our album tour. That's the plan so far.
Awesome. So lots to look forward to and chat with you, and I'm looking forward to your next gig in Bombay already. It should be fun. I think it's always fun catching you live, and especially since you said on the new album you're trying to kind of add more to it, right? Not only just stick to it. So definitely do it. For everyone who's listened to the podcast so far, anything you'd like to share with them?
Keep listening to the podcast because podcasts are authentic. They are the true emotions that come out from the artist and the interviewer, or what do you call yourself? Podcaster. Yeah. So it's fun. You can just drive back home and listen to the podcast and get the insights. Keep listening to Horns Up podcast.
Thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks for taking time out. And that was Sutej Singh. Really great speaking to him as always. Do check out his album Restless I Relentless. Gonna leave a link to it in the show notes, and follow him on social media to know when he's performing next, when he's going on tour. Another episode with an Indian act coming up this week. To find out when it's out, hit follow or subscribe on whichever podcast platform you're listening to this episode on. Follow me on social media. Just search for Trendcrusher. I'll see you all in a couple of days. Cheers.